Hey guys, it's me Albert and I'm watching the kill count. So I heard about this and I heard him, the guy that always counts kills and stuff in the whole movie, like The Mist. I watch him a lot. I like him though. Try to subscribe him. He's really good at doing it. He's really good at doing his job. So this is now there's a new movie called Pet Cemetery. Do anyone watched it? I don't know. So let's watch it.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at Pet Cemetery, released in 1989 and based on the 1983 Stephen King novel. I read Pet Cemetery last year when I heard about the upcoming remake. It's really depressing. In fact, it wasn't even published until 5 years after King wrote it, since he was so reluctant to have such a dark story released. I absolutely loved it, but this 1989 screen adaptation? Not so much. You'd think that with the screenplay by Mr. King himself, it'd be just as good as the memorably morose source material. But instead, the movie kinda just lurches around like the undead beings it depicts, staggering from plot point to plot point until we finally get to the admittedly cool final sequence. Pet Cemetery is about a doctor named Lewis Creed who's just moved his family to Ludlow, Maine. Their property includes a path to a pet cemetery where family animals have been buried by generations of grieving children. A dead pet is one of the saddest things I can think of, but as we'll hear many times throughout this movie,
sometimes dead is better.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Fred Gwynn, Herman Frickin' Munster, plays Lewis's neighbor Judd Crandall. He's the best part of the movie, especially the way he does Judd's heavy Maine accent that was a big part of the character in the book.
Yeah.
How many victims will this movie put in the ground? Let's find out and get to the kills, The movie begins in the titular Pet Cemetery, which has gotta be the most depressing place you can think of. Just a bunch of dead kitty cats and good boys? No thank you. Especially since this one's got a serious singing kid problem. It's getting late there, kids. Don't you gotta get home to Danny Elfman? The Pet Cemetery is near this house that was recently sold to the Creed family. Lewis Creed is a doctor who just got a job at the University of Maine. He's played by Dale Midkiff, who kicks off this role with a Bill Lumbergh impersonation.
Yeah.
His wife, Rachel, is played by Denise Crosby, from one of those Star Treks. And together, they have a flippy daughter, Ellie, and an adorable 2-year-old named Gage. Oh, and a cute gray kitty cat named Church. Can you say Church, Gage?
Cat.
Good boy! Oh, what a happy family. Ellie has a minor tire swing accident, and while her parents are tending to her scraped up knee, baby boy Gage gets a little too friendly with the trucks on the road. In fact, this precocious poopy butt walks straight into the road, and might have been squashed if not for Judd Crandall, the Creed family's neighbor. They think...
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! The baby almost died. I thought the starting of the... Oh my god, it almost gave me a heart attack and I almost died. Holy crap! Holy shit. Alright, I know that I will say bad words, but one more time. Oh my god, it's so... Oh god.
What are you watching?
I'm watching something.
For his baby scoop in and ask him about a trail they've discovered on their property.
Yeah, that's a good story. A good walk. I'll take you up there sometime.
Later that night, Lewis goes over to Judd's house to share a beer and watch the trucks go by.
Yeah. That's one mean road, all right.
They talk about the road and how that trail leads to a pet cemetery. And honestly, the huge chasm in acting ability here is almost painful to watch.
There's that damn road. Uses up a lot of animals. Dogs and cats, mostly.
My little girl's got a cat. Winston Churchill. Oh, Churchill.
Oh, sorry. What were you saying about Churchill there, dude? I nodded off trying to listen to you. Yeah, Dale Midkiff seems like a nice enough dude, but his performance as Lewis kind of sinks this movie for me. It doesn't help that he's in so many scenes right alongside Fred Gwynn being the best. The next day, as promised, Judd takes the Creeds up the trail to the pet cemetery. Rachel immediately hates the because she's got some hangups about death. I mean, who doesn't, right? But Judd reckons that kids gotta learn about death somehow, He even buried his own dog, Spot, here in 1924. Cool graveyard, Judd, but what's with that deadfall over there? Or should I say, undeadfall? Dun dun dun. The cemetery trip gets Ellie scared about Church dying, so hopefully this dude can convince his daughter that Church will be fine.
Honey, Church will be fine.
Yeesh, ain't nobody buying it with that sales technique. No wonder she ends up crying about it. What the fuck ever, though. Ellie gets to go to sleep with church tucked in right next to her? What? That's the cutest thing I've ever seen. Lucy, why don't you do that at bedtime? To make church less of a wildcat, the Creeds intend to get him castrated, even though Ellie is against it.
I don't want Church to get his nuts cut, Daddy.
She said nuts. Apparently she learned that kind of language from Missy, the Creed's housekeeper, who has plenty of reason to swear since she's got a bad case of stomach cancer. She refuses Lewis's offer to take a look at it, though, and he leaves for his first day at work after kissing his wife and adorable son goodbye.
I kissed you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, that is one cute baby. Too bad Lewis's first day at work is a disaster, since this teenager named Victor Pascal was brought into his office with half his frickin' head still back there on the sidewalk. Yeah, this kid is deader than a possum's playtime. I mean, Lewis even does the movie eye-closing thing. And look, you can see his frickin' gyri and shit. Yup, 100% definitely a kill. Don't worry, I wasn't wrong. Victor's just popping in from the afterlife real quick to tell Lulu that the soil of a man's heart is stonier, whatever that means. And he's not done ghosting around yet, because later that night, Lewis gets a midnight hour wake-up call.
Come on, Doc. We've got places to go.
Lewis reluctantly follows the ghost boy in short shorts out to the trail, where they're piping in a fog machine real nice and evenly. Great work there, G&E. When they get to the pet cemetery, Victor instructs Lewis never to go further to where the dead walk. Yeah, that blue zone back there. We color-coded it so you could see it better. Lewis crumples to the ground as Victor floats away with a warning.
The barrier was not meant to be crossed.
And then Lewis wakes up. I bet he's thinking it was all just a dream, huh? Yeah, maybe if dreams left your feet dirty, idiot. Yeah, you grab that hair in mild confusion. Eventually, it's Thanksgiving season, and Lewis is staying home while Rachel takes the kids to her parents' house without him, because apparently his in-laws just don't like him that much. I can see why, though. First thing this dude does when he's in bachelor mode is to dress up like an Adam Sandler SNL character. He gets a call from Judd to come over because his cat may have gotten hit by a truck. Aw, man, I hope that's not the case. That would be a very emotional moment for anybody.
Yep. That church, alright.
Or I guess just an everyday matter of fact. I'll spare you the shot of Lewis peeling his dead cat off the frozen ground because nobody likes to see a dead cat. Least of all Ellie, who Lewis knows is gonna be a wreck when she finds out. Judd feels bad just thinking of how sad she's gonna be, so he says that, maybe, there's a better way. He takes Lewis to the pet cemetery and says that they're headed to the blue zone. Whoa, just yonder over that land dam there, Lewis is reluctant because of his dream zombie's warning, but he follows Judd anyway because, come on, who wouldn't want to hang out with Fred Gwynn as much as possible? During their lengthy journey through the woods, they hear a big old scary monster growl. But Judd dismisses it as just a loon, that's all. That growl is probably a nod to the Wendigo, the being that cursed these burial grounds in the book. Hopefully the Wendigo will have a bigger part in the remake coming out. Judd takes Lewis to what he says is a Micmac Indian burial ground. And although the whole concept of Indian burial grounds has some issues with it, be sure to check out our podcast on the matter with special guest Joey Cliff. At least this place looks cool, I guess. Production had to make it using bulldozers on a mountaintop, so no wonder they invested in these sweet aerial shots. Lewis is told that you have to bury your own, so while Judd sits by and smokes a whole pack of cigs, Lewis spends all night digging in the stony soil until he can finally plant his bag of cat. Don't forget to water it now. When they're done, Judd tells Lewis not to fill in his wife or daughter on what they did that night. They have to keep this a secret, just between the boys and their man hearts.
The soil of a man's heart, Lewis, is stonier.
Whoa, that's what that dead kid said the other day. Is that like a lyric or something? Lewis calls his daughter, and Dale Midkiff tries to convince us that he's trying to convince her that everything's okay.
And kiss him goodnight for me.
Yuck. Kiss your own cat.
Maybe next time. Let's get a little bit of that baby acting, though.
Hi, Daddy. I love you.
Wow, he is cute as all get out. No wonder baby actor Miko Hughes would go on to be the kid in New Nightmare 5 years later. In fact, while kid characters are often played by twins, Ellie Creed, for example, is played by a pair, director Mary Lambert insisted on casting Miko even though he didn't have one because she knew he'd be the best 3-year-old actor they could hope for. The next day, Church shows up and scares Lewis right into a Three Stooges routine. Lousy cat Why I oughta. Upon closer inspection of this adorable little kitty actor, Lewis notes how bad Church smells and sees that he chewed his way out of the bag. He also finds out that new Church isn't a nice kitty. Lewis beers it up with Judd and asks him why his dead cat has come back to him. So Judd transitions into a flashback to when he was a little kid and had buried his dog Spot in the Micmac grounds, only for the dog to come back all growly and mean. The grave Lewis saw in the regular pet cemetery was when Judd buried Spot a second time, and where he thankfully stayed buried. Immediately, Lewis asks the most obvious question.
Has anyone ever buried a person up there?
Christ on his throne, no.
Well, sorry, Judd. I was just asking, okay? Apologies to everyone who apparently finds Dale Midkiff super hot, which is a surprisingly large number of people. Because I'm gonna skip over his little tubby time scene and get to when he picks his family up at the airport. What, right there on the tarmac? I thought that kind of meeting was only for ex-presidents and AGs. Ellie tells Lewis that she had a dream about Church getting killed and buried in the pet cemetery. But Lewis gaslights his daughter and tells her, nah, that shit ain't real. Oh yeah, Lewis? Then why Church smell like dumpster ass?
I hate that smell.
Yeah, I hate dumpster ass smell too, kid. In case you forgot this was a kill count, let me remind you with a real random death. Missy the housekeeper can't stand her stomach cancer pain anymore, so she hangs herself in her basement. Yeah, it's completely out of nowhere.
Oh my
probably because this
God.
character was written in to
She just hang herself and do suicidal because she has stomach. Oh my God! Leah, you will do that if you didn't eat. Just kidding. Just bump. Right. She just hang herself.
place Judd's wife, who is a whole nother heaping scoop of sadness in the book. Oh, and speaking of the book, here's the guy that wrote it, Mr. Stephen the King King, who cameos as a minister at Missy's funeral. Let me get an eye for the master. Missy's death inspires Ellie to ask her dad what he thinks happens after you die.
I think we go on.
Yeah, nailed that line. Rachel, on the other hand, still has a hard time dealing with death, and she tells Lewis why in a flashback story. When she was young, her sister Zelda had spinal meningitis and was kept in the back of Rachel's house like a dirty secret. Zelda's physical deformity scared Rachel a whole bunch, and to make matters worse, Rachel was the only one home when Zelda died by choking to death on some food.
Zelda's dead! Zelda's dead! Zelda's dead!
Denise Crosby gives an excellent dramatic voiceover for this scene. In fact, it's the best acting in the movie done by anyone who's not Fred Gwynn or the baby.
They'll say you hated her, Rachel, and that was true. And they'll say you wanted her to be dead, and that was true too.
She gets a bit hysterical after reliving that trauma, but Lewis knows it's nothing that can't be fixed with a little Valium and a force push. Sometime later, the Creeds and Judd are enjoying a nice afternoon flying a kite up to the highest heights. I love the expansive nature you see in this movie. In fact, unlike other Stephen King adaptations up to this point, Pet Sematary was actually filmed in Maine upon King's insistence, in the tiny town of Ellsworth, about half an hour away from Bangor, where King lives. Unfortunately for the Creeds, this idyllic Maine existence is about to be invaded by a semi-truck, which is headed towards their home, being driven by a dude who's way too busy rocking to the Ramones to pay any much attention to the road. So it'd be great if the Creeds could keep an eye on their youngest instead of getting distracted by Ellie and her sailor mouth.
Got away from him, that nut shit!
Alas, few things are more entertaining than a little kid swearing, so the parents aren't watching as Gage chases the kite string closer and closer to the road. John finally realizes what's happening, and what follows is legit one of the most tense and difficult scenes ever. Especially after Lewis trips, and you know he ain't gonna make it, cause he doesn't. And Gage Creed, the only kid to ever rival Andy Barkley in cuteness, gets run down by a big rig. Holy shit, that is intense, and it garners the most impressive performance out of Dale Midkiff.